Hello ladies and gentlemen, Editor Pete from the future here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up that we actually had some audio issues in the back end of this episode. Discord decided to be a bit of a pain and crash, and also my internet went down whilst we were doing it. So in the latter part with the very last game, this was a separate recording, so please forgive the audio quality of it. But other than that, please enjoy the episode.
Welcome to episode 9 of Rapid Reviews Radio. And I am your co-host, Kiley Wild, and I'm joined with Pete Beckett.
Hello.
And we have a very special episode this week.
It's a doozy.
It is a doozy. But let's see how have you been this week?
I've been run a bit ragged having to think about this particular topic, which we'll save until a bit later. So
yes,
but it's been tough, but overall pretty good. What about you?
Kind of the same. Been racking my brain, and like most folks out there, trying to wrap up my assignments, my job assignments, work assignments, so I can shut her down and go off.
Yeah, so
for the holidays.
So you can actually have a holiday rather than have to think about all these orders.
Exactly. Although I'm always thankful for the work, never complaining.
Of course.
But we're going to do things a little bit differently this week, just because of the way it's played out. We're actually going to start with our You Got This segment.
There's a reason behind that. We're explaining a bit.
Yes. And normally it is a 2-minute segment that has never been 2 minutes since we started.
No, and it never will.
Never will be. But we're going to still say that. It's a 2-minute segment about, kind of mental health topics, but, always on a positive note. And this time of year, as we approach the holidays, the big one being Christmas for most of us.
It doesn't matter what you celebrate. No. It could be Hanukkah, could be Christmas, could be Kwanzaa, whatever.
Whichever holiday it is, it all seems to kind of affect people differently. Some people get very, very happy and excited and over the moon. And then some of us not so much. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a very normal response.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal to get a little bit down around this time of the year if you've got no family or friends around or any sort of thing like that. Or you're just running yourself ragged like you are, trying to get all your orders done before Christmas.
Exactly.
Or the holiday.
Yes. So with that said, this week's episode, we're going to focus on what to do if you are one of those people who don't feel as energized by the holidays. If you're having this goes for all year round, but if you're having a tough time out there, and it's okay to have a tough time, it's completely normal. But there is a line that you can call if things get a little too dark, a little too hard to handle, and that is the Samaritans line. The Samaritans is a charity that are always there to listen to you talk. They say, and I'm quoting directly from them, we listen to you and help you talk through your concerns, worries, and troubles. And sometimes that's just the right thing. That's just what you need.
It definitely is.
Absolutely. And so as we approach the next few weeks, even well into the new year, and you're feeling like you just need someone to talk to, someone anonymous, someone who doesn't know you, and you don't have to give your name. You don't have to do any of that. It's a very simple number for the UK. It's 116123.
Quite easy to remember.
Yeah, it's very easy to remember. It's a free number, no matter if it's landline or mobile. You don't have to have any credit or call allowance on your plan. If you're a little bit like me and not the biggest fan of telephone calls, they do have an email, which is Joe, J-O, at Samaritans.org, and it too is free.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it's confidential. Your email address is also not shown to the volunteer that receives it. And you can actually walk into their branch office and they will not ask questions.
Yeah, they actually have a local one near me that is really good.
That's very cool. I actually didn't know they had local branches, so that's a very positive thing to hear.
I'm not sure how many branches they have around the UK.
Yeah.
I know that so just have a look online and see if they've got a local one to you, if that's something that you'd want to do.
Yeah, and that reminds me too. Their website is Samaritans.org. So if you want to go have a look, and also the number there is relisted, and things, and you can contact with all sorts of concerns, and sometimes things that we think are not important or that no one would care to listen to about, that's what they're there for. And you can tell them anything. You can talk to them about anything. And all they do is they just offer that extra bit of support to help you through.
Yeah, I think one of the good things is they don't really offer advice. They're not allowed to offer advice. They're just there to literally just help you through your problems. And
Yes.
I can tell you that from experience that I called them last year because I was going through a lot of stuff with being made redundant from work. I was having a lot of issues with a few people that I knew as well, and it was all getting on top of me, especially Christmas coming up and no job and all that sort of thing. It was a troubling time for me, so I phoned them up on a whim, and they were great. They were fantastic. I can't
That's excellent.
say otherwise. They're a very good service, and the fact that it all stays anonymous is actually quite a nice thing. They don't ask your name. They don't ask for anything other than just talk.
Yeah, and it's, for me, the idea of talking to someone anonymously is very appealing. So it's very good that's a big part of what they do. And then just a quick run through. They're not religious. It's completely coincidental that they're called Samaritans.
Yeah, agreed.
So you don't have to worry. They're it's all neutral. You can contact them if you're deaf, hard of hearing, or have a speech impediment, because they do have the email service. And then you can call them if you're under 18, which is really good.
That's very handy, actually, because there are a lot more younger people now going through a few issues. Perfect for that. Absolutely.
And in fact, they say our first responsibility is to you, not your parents or guardian. And I do remember being, young and under 18 and, kind of didn't want to speak to an adult because I was worried they'd go to my, my mother or something with whatever I told them. Yeah, so no worries there. And then, if you already have ongoing mental health issues, they're still there to talk. Again, it's like you said, reiterating, they can't advise you, but they can listen. And sometimes listening is you just really need it, Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need to get things off your chest, and they'll just let you do that.
Yeah.
It's a great service that they've got there, and I think I would advise anyone who might be struggling or who struggles generally to talk to people to just go and talk to them.
Absolutely.
They're non-judgmental, non-biased. They're everything really that most people should utilize if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and give the number one more time. It's 116123. And remember, believe me, this is coming from the very bottom of our hearts, but you've got this for sure.
For sure. So, shall we get on to our topic?
Yes.
Now, we're coming to the end of the year.
Yup.
And the end of the year can only mean one thing.
Yes.
It's time to pick a game of the year for 2019.
Bum, bum, bum.
This is why we are racked our brains a little bit this week, because trying to whittle down some games to your top 4 each is quite difficult when you haven't played more than 6 games this year.
Yeah, and we kind of mentioned this off air, but it bears repeating on air. 2019, not the strongest year for games.
They've had some crackers, but
yeah,
there's been a lot of turds in there too.
Yes, I mean, when you compare it to last year, 2018, where it was just hit after hit after hit, just major, beautiful AAA games that just you didn't have enough time to play them all.
Exactly, and same 2017 as well. That was an
yes
absolute year as well.
Oh, absolutely. And then 2019, I think it's maybe possibly because we're on the cusp of the new consoles being released.
I'd agree. I've always found this, actually, that when we're on the verge of a new console generation, get a slowdown in terms of games coming out.
Yes.
We're lucky in the fact that there are a lot of indie developers out there still producing top quality content.
Absolutely.
But in terms of the AAA sphere, it hasn't been a good year this year, I'm afraid.
Yeah. That is, I have to absolutely agree. So yeah, it was quite the brain exercise in trying to narrow down our four biggest games.
Yeah, and also, especially when you're trying to narrow down Kylie's choices when she sent them to you about 2 hours before you record.
I did. I did. Full disclosure, fine. Yep. I had a full week. I was, quote, assigned this last week, 1 week ago, and I could not come up with my last 2.
Like I said, it's been a tough year this year because of lack of games and the fact that we've probably haven't played as many as we should have done.
Yeah. I've been reviewing mostly indie games.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then weirdly, the indie games I've been reviewing were not released this year. They were released previously.
Yeah, because they've either come out on a new platform generation, or they have been re-released or something like that. I don't know. So I wanted to just let you know, all of you guys and girls that are listening, the rules in which we stated to these games. So remakes are included, which, because they're built from the ground up.
Yeah,
you know, they might be an old game, but they are built from the ground up to be able to actually release in this generation. So in that respect, remasters don't count. So boo-hoo, no Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
which pains me a lot.
Yeah.
The game had to be released in 2019, no matter what respective platform it was on. So, unfortunately, games like Terraria that got released on Switch this year do not count because they have come out on every other console.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with quite a slim list, really. And the draw was done earlier today, completely at random, but we did it via a seeding system.
Yes.
So our top choices went against our bottom choices and vice versa, which threw out a little bit of an interesting topic on this one. So I'm going to write down, or tell you all the games that were drawn and who chose them.
Yes.
So in the first bracket, a number 1 against a number 4 choice, The Outer Worlds versus Kingdom Hearts 3. and those are both Kylie's choices.
Yes.
On the other end of the bracket, we have Tetris 99 against Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled, which are both of my choices.
Yep.
And this happens throughout the entirety of the bracket because our choices went against our own choices. Which is going to make things interesting on the other end because they'll finally come up against other games, which will be fun.
That I actually think it will be a very fun dynamic. Yes.
Yeah. So the other games in this bracket in the first round are Untitled Goose Game against Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yep.
And the last game is Jedi Fallen Order. I'm glad you laughed about that. Against Borderlands 3.
Yes. We should do a side note because I'm gonna keep giggling because I'm looking straight at it. When I posted these to Pete, I was very tired, had just woken up, and I literally posted my choices as The Outer Worlds and Jedi Order of the Fallen.
So Kylie might laugh a few times in between this because she's constantly looking at her error.
Yes.
Which I didn't pull her up about it until we started talking beforehand. And
I literally did not even know until we started doing our pre-recording session. And he was like, oh, you must have been tired. And there it was. Jedi Order of the Fallen.
Clearly a game you really loved this year.
Yes. Okay.
So I think the way that we're going to do this is we are going to have a discussion about each game.
Right.
So the person who popped them up onto the list, which is going to be awkward because you're going to be talking about the same game.
Yes.
Well, not the same game. You're going to be talking about your game against your own game for these first parts. But we're going to talk about why we included them on the list of the games of the year. So we will get into the very first game. So we were hoping to have a third to make this more unanimous.
Right.
But if we don't come to a unanimous decision, then we will basically keep arguing until one of us backs down.
Yep, and knowing both of us, get ready for a 6-hour podcast.
This could be the most stubborn of non-movers ever.
Yeah.
So we will take the northern side of the bracket here, which is going to be the Outer Worlds against Kingdom Hearts 3. So 2 of your games. I think the first one goes without saying because you might have mentioned it a few times.
Yes.
But tell us why you put on the Outer Worlds onto your top of your list.
Okay. The Outer Worlds is a game that has been created. I mean, if you've listened to any of our past podcasts, you know all this, but I'll just do a quick catch up. It was created by the team that did Fallout New Vegas, who are made up of people who were the original team that created Fallout, the original 1 and 2. And in this, so you've got your same writing team and your same, creative team. Outer Worlds, it is an action role-playing game. And I forgot to say it was developed by Obsidian. Obsidian is the people that I'm talking about. And
they split off, basically formed their own company after the rights to Fallout were pretty much sold to Bethesda. Yeah,
and probably one of the smartest things Bethesda ever did, cough cough, is hire the Obsidian team to write Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, smart move.
Yeah, and it's it's just it's a great game. So it's full of humor, and one of the greatest strengths of Fallout New Vegas is the companions that you acquire throughout the game. So Outer Worlds is set in outer space, and it is also alternate future, much like Fallout, except where Fallout has you're scavenging for sources, Outer Worlds is the opposite. You have too many resources.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now there is a spoiler that I'm not. Don't worry, no spoilers here. That explains all of that, and but the writing is great. It's the humor is there. The comedic timing is just unbelievable, and once again, you're given companions. You're given 5 companions to pick from. I don't necessarily think that those companions are as strong as the New Vegas ones were, but it's very good because you do get to as you go to combat together, you grow as a team, and they have character arcs, and so it's very good, and it's just a very wholly enjoyable game. It's not perfect, but
No, of course not.
no, but especially when it's with graphics, its probably weakest point is its graphics. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it because from the very little that I actually played of it, because my PC is a stuttering idiot, it's a beautiful looking game.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily good because of that. Because style over substance. The substance definitely is there for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were to do screenshots, it's a beautiful game. But as you start to move through it, there's some FPS hiccups and stuff like that. A lot of frame rate drops, and when you start to look at it, it looks kind of muddy on the higher definition TVs, and I mean, you can tell it's being produced. It's a AAA level game being produced by what is essentially an indie studio, so they're working with what they have.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people forget that about Obsidian is they're not actually until Microsoft's acquisition of them, they weren't a big budget title.
No.
Like developer, they were essentially indies or AA developers because they would just lease themselves out to other companies to help out.
Yeah.
Like we did with Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, exactly.
So it's not going to be the best looking game. It's not going to be the most perfect game. But
yeah, I am. What I'm. Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Oh, I was just saying what I'm hoping is that, with the reception of it, the sales and stuff like that, that will give them a bigger budget for a sequel. And I would like to see this become a franchise, but that's me.
I would like to see it as well, but with the acquisition of Microsoft, I don't know if that's going to happen because I think there was another company that did actually publish this. I think for some reason, Activision seemed to be making the rounds there.
It was published by Private Division.
Yeah, okay.
Which for some reason, I always read as Pirate Division.
That's because you're a filthy pirate.
It's true.
But yeah, I think this other company does own something to do with the Outer Worlds themselves. So it might not be that Microsoft can just take the license like that along with Obsidian.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It's Take-Two. That's who owns them. Take-Two.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was someone.
Yeah.
That would be why they won't be able to wrestle that off of Take-Two at all.
Yeah, because they've secured the publishing rights. Okay, well, that will be an interesting thing to see how that plays out. Because there is potential there for such a long, lasting franchise.
Of course.
I mean, it won Best Original Game at the Game Critics Awards this year. So,
yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed. But that is my definite pick.
That was your top pick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No surprises there.
That's not a surprise.
No. But it's going up against a game that was a long time in coming, which was Kingdom Hearts 3. So, do you want to take this one or shall I? Because I have played this.
Well, that's going to be a tough one. you go ahead and take it, and then I'll chime in.
Okay, this is a particularly tough game to talk about.
It is.
It's the continuation of a game that was released in 2004, 5... No, 2007, sorry. It was 2005 or 2004 for the original Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a series that has been going on for a very long time.
Yes.
Not having any mainline games in the series. They had spin-offs that formed part of the main continued story, and this one had been teased for the longest of times, but was stuck in development hell for quite a while. So it is the story of a boy named Sora who can wield a mystical item called the Keyblades, which are basically just magical swords, and it's set in the Disney universe, where you do visit a lot of the worlds and meet a lot of the characters from there, as well as certain Final Fantasy characters.
Yes.
It's the mashing of the Square Enix and Disney partnership that was basically a license to print money for both companies.
It was.
But other than that, it's very hard to explain because the story is all over the place. It's one of his, for me, it's one of its weakest aspects, and it is one of the things that people absolutely loves about Kingdom Hearts. So, like I said, this is a continuation of said story, and to be honest with you, it's such a convoluted mess. I can't even remember what the story is.
Well,
they're searching for someone, and they're searching to try and break them out of the Heartless and be able to reclaim their hearts. And there's a lot of hearts and a lot of farts.
No, that's basically it. I have to agree. Kingdom Hearts 3 was banking and probably succeeded on selling nostalgia.
Yeah, I'd agree. The series nostalgia, and those people who had been waiting for many, many years for it to come back in the mainline aspect were the ones that were all over this.
Yeah, I was a very, very, very intense Kingdom Hearts fan when it first came with the first one. Probably, actually, now that I think about it, Kingdom Hearts may have been the very first game I ever completed from start to finish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's saying something, because I was usually playing stuff like The Sims and Vice City and stuff, which has a storyline, but you kind of get caught up on the just fun stuff. But so Kingdom Hearts for me, it has a very, very special place in my heart. Ha ha.
Oh gosh.
And
I knew that one was coming.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right. As it evolved, I mean, if you just look at the release timeline, it's so all over the place. By the time Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, which was about 2 or 3 years after the original, I was already starting to get confused by the...
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah. And I was already having trouble with my singular way of thinking of how did Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters, trade worlds and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because I got to swim around the Little Mermaid's grotto, which is all I cared about.
But it's the worst world.
It's not great, but for me at the time, it was very exciting. And
Go on.
I was going to say, also bear in mind that my absolute favorite game on the Genesis or the Sega, was Echo the Dolphin. So
that game is a confusing mess as well.
It is. We'll save that for our Echo the Dolphin podcast. Our underwater podcast.
Just games dedicated to underwater.
Yeah. But so having said all of that, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. I played it. I did not complete it.
Nor did I.
Yeah, because the
How far did you
characters.
get though?
I'm gonna be honest. I did not get very far.
Okay.
I think a game came up for me to review right when I was in the midst of playing it, and I haven't gone back to it. I
So
will.
you still
But
own it?
yeah, I still own it. I'll go back to it. But I didn't quit it because, oh, I hate this and I'm walking away. I did it strictly because I had to review another game.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And but I can already tell from what I have played that it's not cleared up the timeline for me
No.
any better. Now, a lot of people have said that the graphics were weak on it. Maybe because I didn't get as far into it. I didn't find them to be that weak.
No, I'd agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't think they're that weak at all. I thought it was a very good looking game, to be fair.
Yeah.
Especially the rich forest environments of the Tangled world. They were beautiful.
Oh, that whole sequence looks like the movie.
Yeah, it does.
It's beautiful. But when it was released as well, you had a lot of people, much like when Pokemon and Final Fantasy, any game that has a die-hard core audience is released. There was a lot of people who said, "I hate this game. You know, they've broke my heart. This is, Disney doesn't know what they're doing, and this is not. This isn't the Sora I know." And then all this stuff. So there was a lot of negative backlash. I don't think it warranted that.
No, I don't think it did as well.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not the strongest game.
No.
Is really, which is hard for me to say because I am a Kingdom Hearts fan very much. I think there's some, fabulous writing in there. I mean, it's Nomura. He's an amazing writer.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to sort out delays.
No.
He has a real problem with production and getting a game out on time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So of the two, it is for me the weaker one.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I wrote a review on this, for an outlet that is not Rapid Reviews.
Oh no.
I know. I was.
This
is
scandal.
before I. It was before I did Rapid Reviews. All right.
Yes, we all have that. The time before.
Yeah,
but before times.
I'm gonna link to the article that I did write on it because I think it pretty much conveys everything I wanted it to, which is exactly what a review should be, I guess.
Well, yes.
But for me, it was a fun game at times, but it was bogged down by a couple of really big problems.
Right.
One of them was a pacing issue because the story is absolutely all over the place.
Yes, I do agree.
The second, for me, was they played it too safe. The combat feels very, very similar to what it is in 2.
Yes.
And they haven't really advanced it. Despite a 10-year gap, they have not advanced that combat in any way, shape, or form.
That's valid.
It felt too similar to what 2 was. The third criticism that I have with it, and this is probably my biggest one, the most egregious one that I had, is it played it too safe in a lot of aspects where it was literally just playing out the movie. So the Frozen world itself, literally like just playing the movie. Same with Tangled.
Yeah.
Now, the Tangled universe itself was amazing to play through, but it is literally just a carbon rip of the movie, and same with Frozen.
It is. Yeah.
But when they decided to venture out into other things like the Toy Story universe, they did an absolutely superb job of that.
Absolutely.
They made it feel unique. They made it feel very interesting. They put it in a time period that was set between 2 different movies.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one.
To be fair, it just felt like it was a game of two halves for sure. So you'd have one world that was superb and one world that was very bland and very average. and it wasn't enough to sustain that interest for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an over reliance on the ride mechanic as well. So the the new special moves that you got
Yeah.
are all based around rides for Disney attractions.
Yes.
There was far too much reliance on those special moves, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah. I would have to agree with you on that one for sure. But I think you really nailed it when you said it was a very, like the two worlds just contrasting so much. You'd have something so good and then bland the next second.
Yeah. It was one of the things that really put me off of playing the game, because I got halfway through the Frozen world, and as someone who does not like Frozen in any way, shape, or form,
I don't either.
I was playing through it and I learned, I know this. I already know what's going to happen here. Same with Tangled. I was like, looks great. These environments are amazingly well. I don't want to play through a movie I've already watched.
I have to agree, because when I went through the Tangled world, at first, I was like, oh, this is so cool seeing it, redone right here. And then I was like, wait a minute.
I waned, about an hour after it.
Yeah.
To be fair, the music is utterly incredible in the game.
I can't remember her name, but the lady that did all the music for it. Yes. Oh, just
she's a genius.
She's an
utter genius.
Absolutely.
It is the one highlight of this entire game that I have gone back and listened to that soundtrack, because it's gorgeous.
Absolutely. Yeah. I will say one other thing, just because I'm a super nerd, that I've never been fond of, is that Sora's Keyblade is called Oathkeeper. And my favorite character in Game of Thrones is Brienne of Tarth.
Of course.
Her we'll say best friend, Jaime Lannister, gives her a sword. That sword is called Oathkeeper. And
so how funny that I've never watched Game of Thrones, but even I know.
Yeah.
Damn you, Game of Thrones fans! You ruined everything.
But that means that I have both the Keyblade Oathkeeper and the Game of Thrones Oathkeeper reproductions in my my abode. And I don't know, I've never been fond that they're both named that. It's just me and my weirdness, but
that's fair. So we have to pick a game here, don't we? And I think this is pretty sounding.
It's gonna be tough. What are we gonna do?
Outer Worlds.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
That's your dialogue tree options. Are you sure you don't want to go back and make a different choice? No.
Can I pull gun out?
Or the bottom option. I'll leave you be.
Look,
so
I'm
yes.
Use an intimidate skill and
yes. The Outer Worlds, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Well, that was obvious on your part, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to note that down. So Outer Worlds has made it through.
Yeah.
No surprises. Sorry, Kingdom Hearts fans. I just didn't enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we take the next top seed one?
Yes.
Because this is going to be a fun one.
Yes.
Tetris 99.
Yep.
Against Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, I'm not looking forward to this game. this one, because these are both my choices.
Yes, they are.
So I'll talk about Tetris 99 first, because it is the one that came top for me.
Right.
This game came out absolute nowhere. We knew nothing about it until the Nintendo Direct in February.
Yes.
And then it was just released that day.
Yeah, that's right.
I think one of the greatest points about it is that if you own the Switch, if you've got the online membership, it's free to you. So that's great in its own right. Mm-hmm. It's just, for me, Tetris has always been one of the most fun puzzle games and one of the most infuriating out there. I remember so many times trying to play Tetris on the Game Boy. Mm-hmm. And if I'm honest, I didn't keep up with Tetris quite a lot over the years because there's seen so many different versions that have come out and all that sort of thing that,
Yeah,
for Tetris fans, it's been a great time,
it
especially
has.
if you had things like a Tetris Effect on
Mm-hmm.
PS, which apparently is an amazing game, but I never
It
got
is.
playing it. But for me, what this done enough was change up the formula whilst keeping it as classic as possible.
Yes.
So they've kept the core mechanics of a very typical Tetris game, but added battle royale to it
Mm-hmm.
with 98 other players all throwing garbage your way, which is, oh boy, it's a challenge to say the least. But it is intense fun from the very first minute I picked this game up.
Yes.
Even to now, where when we were leading up into the game of the year discussions, I still am playing this on lunch breaks at work, just getting in game after game after game.
Yeah.
I can't put it down. This is why it's top of my list, because it's it's just a game I can't stop playing at all. And like with a lot of choices that I've made with in another discussion that we're due to have in soon,
Mm-hmm.
it's a game that I constantly think about. You know, I'm thinking of new tactics or trying to think of ways to be able to build up my stacks to be able to just get back-to-back Tetrises to send them across to the unsuspecting person across the world.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is really
and
cool.
and the music is banging as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
this is why it was top. I mean, no game this year has kept me on the edge of my seat quite like that game has.
Yeah.
And I looked at my clock on in game and on the Switch the other day. I'm horrified to say that it's 45 hours
Wow.
with no wins.
Really?
I have not had a single win. I think that's why I keep playing it, because I'm playing to get a win, and I just won't get it.
You may be right, because I did get a win, and
Damn you!
and I actually quit playing it shortly after that.
Of course,
For
you
no
did.
reason. Like I still love it. It's a fabulous game.
Yeah,
And I'm sure I'll play it again.
yeah. I will admit that they did release DLC for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best DLC that they've released, but they've released 2 different packs, and it was only £9.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they added was in computer battles, so you could just
Mm-hmm.
play without the internet as being an equation.
Yeah.
But I think that the 2.0 update that they added with all the different themes and all that sort of thing, and unlockable daily challenges, all that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
helped give the game a little bit more life in it as well.
Yeah.
Because it was becoming a bit stagnant with its lack of content, but
Mm-hmm.
for a free game, you can't complain too much about it.
Right.
It's now been properly fleshed out into a bit more of a full package.
Yeah.
I think it goes without saying that the company that made this, Eureka,
Mm-hmm.
done an absolute incredible job on it. And
Absolutely.
for all those fighting game aficionados, they will know exactly who Eureka. They made Fighting EX Layer,
Ah.
as
Wow.
well as Street Fighter EX.
Oh, I see. I knew.
Yeah.
I knew there had to be a Street Fighter in there.
Yeah, they made Street Fighter EX. It's one of the worst Street Fighters, but they at least brought us Skullomania, and he's awesome.
Ah, yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
very
so
cool.
this game is going up against a remake. Oh gosh, what can I say about Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled that hasn't been said by pretty much everyone already? They absolutely nailed the feel of this game.
They
This
did.
feels exactly like playing the PS1 version, just with a nice few additions to it.
Yeah.
It still feels mostly intact. A lot of the courses are still there. They've added a couple of the Nitro courses and a few of the characters in there, which has been nice. It's nearly one of the best feeling kart racer games out there, apart from Mario Kart 8. And I know a lot of people out there say that this is better than Mario Kart 8.
That's
I
a
don't
tough one.
agree.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but this is very smooth, very slick, and an excellent package, much like the same way that they've pretty much remade this game from the ground up and made it feel exactly the same that Naughty Dog did all those years ago. And for that, I think it needs to be commended.
Absolutely.
What doesn't need to be commended is its egregious uses of loot boxing.
Yeah.
And stupid DLC. So that's the one thing that I think lets this down.
Yeah. If I had to say what its weakest thing is, I would have to agree. I strongly believe that loot boxes are a weakness in most games.
I do as well. Full retail package going for, $60, £50, whatever it is, and you're adding more on there. And
yeah,
I don't agree with the argument that everyone says is, if you don't want loot boxes in your games, raise the price of games.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. You should just get a full package.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that, I mean, I guess it's really because we're, from a time where that's what you did. You bought, and you could buy a super deluxe game at like Dot Hack.
Yeah.
That was ridiculously expensive, but it came with everything,
Yeah, it came with an anime, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and for some reason, as we became more, I mean, that was right on the cusp as things started to become more digital. As things became more digital, just microtransactions just went crazy. And I think that they can take away from a game.
Agreed. I mean,
yeah.
You look at things like I said with Tetris, that could have easily, for being a free game, included microtransactions. They didn't.
Yeah.
There's no way to buy any currency on that game apart from earning it.
Right.
I love that.
Oh, absolutely.
With that mentality, it's like a lot of companies seem to have forgotten that is actually the case.
Yeah, because even like I have 2 mobile games that I play quite religiously, and they do have the ability to do microtransactions, but you don't have to do that. Like, it doesn't keep you from progressing. There is a play limit, but even they will have specials throughout the week where you have like unlimited playtime. And I don't know. I feel more, loyal to that company than to a company that wants me to, pay constantly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree. It just feels like they're constantly trying to nickel and dime you without actually caring about you as a player.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just a cash machine, and I don't respect that. But for Crash, I would say that, like, it is beautiful. It absolutely mirroring exactly what you said. It feels just like the original.
Yeah. It's still buttery smooth as well.
Oh, yeah.
Is the weirdest thing that most games from the PS1 era don't feel exactly great anymore.
Yeah.
They're a bit wonky because of the early 3D stuff, it's understandable, but
I'm looking at you, Gex.
Oh, let's not talk about that. Or Bubsy.
Oh, gosh.
This game still feels great. I mean, I know it's a remake and all that, but they have literally they've seen what Naughty Dog did originally, and they just rolled with it.
Yeah.
They just continued with what they were doing. It feels like an extension of the game rather than a remake.
I would agree with that. And then I would absolutely still reiterate that for me, the weakest part is the microtransactions.
Agreed. So we're gonna have to pick a winner out of this, aren't we?
Yep. Okay, I don't think we're gonna have too much of an argument on this one.
I don't think we are either.
Okay. Then my pick would be Tetris 99.
No arguments here. Tetris, without a doubt, it's the game that gets through for me 100%.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh dear. So Sorry, Crash. I love you, but
yeah.
you can't beat out a free game.
You can't. I mean, that's it. That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
it's a good puzzler and fun to play.
It's one of the best, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a few that have come out this year, and one of the ones that I would have liked to have included if I played it a bit more was Puyo Puyo Champions, because I thought that was a great game.
I didn't just play it, but yeah, that looked really amazing.
Yeah. If you want a really good recommendation for a very, very good puzzle game that didn't come out this year, Puyo Puyo Tetris is fantastic.
Ooh, okay.
Shame that hardly anyone plays it online.
Oh, yeah. That always sucks.
The campaign on that is still great, though, because it's just the excellent fusion between Tetris and Puyo Puyo.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so that's Tetris through. So we'll go down onto the eastern side of the bracket.
Yeah.
Which will be Jedi of the Fallen Order, or Jedi Fallen Order to most.
Yes.
Borderlands 3.
Yep.
So tell us why Jedi Fallen Order is a good game.
It
or an EA game.
Or a what?
Or an EA game.
Oh, yes. EA. It's in the game.
Not anymore.
Yes, not at all. Yes, it is actually surprising that I would ever pick an EA game. First of all, because
I think most people were surprised by how good this package was when it came out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it did go through some negative, press first.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people said, "Oh, it's it's gonna suck because of being EA."
Yeah.
But it didn't suck, and that's what's weird.
So the reason why you've stuck it on the Game of the Year list because it didn't suck.
Because it didn't suck. No, it's again. We'll do a quick run through. It's another action adventure game. Yeah, I think I have a tendency towards those.
Yeah, you've definitely got a type.
I did not click onto that till last week's episode, when we were talking about what genres we'd get rid of.
Yeah,
and it really hit me. No, I like action adventure role playing games.
Exactly.
And then,
a lot of games now come out with like RPG elements to them, so that's
exactly
your alley most of the time.
Yeah. It's of course it's a Star Wars property, which is not it's Star Wars can be hit or miss, and that's now across the board. It used to be games. Oh, Star Wars, there's not a good, Star Wars game or
the Star Wars games used to be either absolutely outstanding or absolute dog turd.
Yes. There was no middle ground.
No.
Yeah. And now
all you have to do is look at Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
My goodness.
That first one was outstanding.
But both of them are great, to be fair. I think the second one unfairly gets dumped on a bit too much.
Yeah, but I think, again, that's EA.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah. So, and anyway, yeah, it's actually the whole Star Wars universe has become kind of extremes now, like everything nowadays. So a lot of people were actually negative towards this when it debuted, which I thought was just odd.
Yeah. When this first got announced, it was announced in the strangest of ways possible, at least.
It was, yes. Because I believe it was announced way back in 2018.
It was, and the way they announced it at E3 was very strange, where they walked up to the guy, the director of the property, and basically he was just sitting in the audience at the EA conference, and they went up and asked him about it.
Yeah.
He went, "We can't show you anything, but we can tell you the name of the game."
It's very strange.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was odd, but
yeah, because they didn't release a demo until this year.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't show
So
anything
weird.
about it until, and even the advertising campaign kept a lot of the things
Mm-hmm.
under wraps
Yeah.
until the game was pretty much out. But I
Yeah.
don't know if you heard something about that though.
What do you mean?
There was a controversy over Thanksgiving.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, the EA or the Respawn Entertainment Twitter page put out a new trailer for it
Right.
that gave away a huge spoiler.
Oh, that's right. I do. See, I cut that out of my brain. Yes.
Yeah. How imbecilic was that?
That was insane. I could not believe that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I literally had erased that from my brain. That is too
Probably
funny.
a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing wasn't great, but
No, it wasn't.
no. But one reason, and I was wondering if you would cotton to this, but I think it's just too obscure. One reason Jedi Order of the Fallen is on the list.
Yeah.
Is one of the main writers for Fallout. Chris Avellone. I call it Avellone. It may be Avallone.
Chris Avellone, I think.
Yeah. He was the project director and lead designer on New Vegas. And is...
Yeah, he moved over to Respawn, didn't he?
That's right. Yes. And was one of the writers on this game.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's definitely got your vote for sure.
Yeah. It's those writers, man.
Yeah, they are very good, to be fair. I mean, story-wise, apparently a lot of people are very happy with this as a Star Wars property. Even more so than The Last Jedi.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of where I was going with this is, God, I think I am a fangirl for writers. I'm starting to realize.
Yeah.
But for writers and voiceover artists. But
yeah, it definitely sounds that way.
No, so the story they actually, of course, got with Lucasfilm and created the character and everything on the current universe. I mean the existing universe rather.
Yeah. Which is the smartest move.
Very smart. So it's it's got a very strong writing element, which is great. And then I don't know, it's got, I don't know, there's a couple of I saw, oh my gosh, I have a friend who is really good with fantasy languages. Now, okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you which language it is. Huh?
So they're very fluent in like Elvish.
Yeah. And Romulan and all of that.
Oh, okay.
All of them. Cool. He posted a screenshot, and it was from the warehouse. And I'm assuming this was his own personal screenshot. And if so, I'll get permission from him and repost it. And it's a crate, and it has the writing on the side, the pretty writing that I don't know whose language that is. But he said it said something like "this way up" and contains, I don't know what, like food or something.
Okay.
But it was so neat to see that. He was like, I wonder if anybody's caught this yet. But that shows the amount of detail they've put into this world. It is true to its origin. And
that's good, really. It shows that there was a lot of passion and a lot of love for the Star Wars franchise itself, despite what Disney have done to it.
Yes, which that'll be on our next podcast. Why Disney is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about two Disney properties already.
Well, it's because they own everything.
Yeah, that monopoly.
Yeah, but to further this, the gameplay I also like. I didn't think that the control was too tough to handle. Too much to take in. I don't know. It was smooth. Gameplay's good. It's just a nice well done game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I heard about it, apparently the lightsaber does feel like actually wielding a lightsaber
Yeah.
rather than wielding what is a force baton.
Yes, that I would absolutely agree with. I'm trying to remember. Was it Knights of the Republic? There was a game where you. Which one was it? Maybe it was 2 that you got to. Yeah, I think it was 2 where you got to be, the Sith and use your, Force to down one of.
Yeah, you could do it in Knights of the Old Republic too, but there was also a series of games on the PS2 called The Force Unleashed.
Maybe that's it. That must be it. What I'm thinking of.
Yeah, where you're Darth Vader's apprentice.
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah, that's Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
that's why I mentioned the baton, because
yes.
that's how it felt in that game. Is it felt like wielding a force baton?
Exactly my point is, yeah, and so by contrast, this feels like a lightsaber. I mean, you still have to use your imagination, but that's fun too.
Yeah, it's great, really, in that respect.
Yeah, so for me, it's just a good, strong game.
Good. Borderlands 3.
Oh, Borderlands 3.
Now, you like Borderlands, don't you?
I do. We talked about it before, I think 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, we did.
Borderlands is another action role-playing game. Dadgum.
Yeah, and a looter shooter as well.
Yeah, which I do. I love first-person shooters, FPSs.
Yeah.
So Borderlands is a series. This is clearly the 3rd in the series. That takes place in another kind of wasteland era. This having to do with vaults, which I know sounds like Fallout, but these vaults are different. And they're located on various planets. And it's actually kind of a corporation owned, so there's a little bit of Outer Worlds kind of, comparison can be there. I didn't think of that before until I said that, but yeah, even their weapons are made by different corporations, very similar to Outer Worlds. Now, Borderlands 3. It's the 3rd in the series, and for me, I'm gonna be honest, the weakest.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there a lot of people will disagree with that, but I stated before that Borderlands' biggest weakness was that it was a surprise hit. It just came out of nowhere. There wasn't much lore to back it up. And you're really starting to see that now.
They didn't flesh out that lore beyond the first game, and now it feels like they're just playing catch up.
Yes,
really.
Catch up is exactly what. Because they're adding new characters and stuff like that don't feel. God, it sounds weird, but doesn't feel original to the original series. But by the same token, they're also following the same exact formula. So there's nothing new.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'd heard from a lot of Borderlands fans is very boring. It's not really pushing the envelope too much on adding anything new in there. It's just, if you liked Borderlands 2, you're pretty much going to like Borderlands 3.
Yeah, that I would absolutely agree with that. And it's, I don't know, okay, for me, again, I've mentioned before, but Handsome Jack is probably my favorite villain.
Mm-hmm.
But this takes place about 7 years after his death, which is not a spoiler. That is not a spoiler.
No, even I knew that.
Yeah. So I probably should have said that first, but yeah, and so that kind of, I don't know, like I think it's his sister that's the new bad girl.
Oh, is that who you see in the adverts?
Yeah. And oh no, it's Sir Hammerlock's sister. That's who it is.
Okay.
But yeah, it just doesn't have the same charisma. That's the word I'm looking for. God, I got stuck.
Yeah.
And the NPCs returned, and that included one of the most annoying NPCs in my history of ever, which would be Tiny Tina, who I can't stand.
Oh, okay. Even that name is terrible.
Oh gosh. Well, okay, a little bit of history here. So Tiny Tina is voiced by oh god, I can't remember her name. She used to have a YouTube show with her brother.
Yep.
And
oh, is it Ash from Hey Ash?
Yes.
Hey Ash, what
Ash, what are you playing? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And you know that those videos were good when I wasn't on my ADD meds.
Yeah.
No, they were good. I actually enjoyed them. But then they basically gave her the role of Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
And it's so obnoxious and just, it's trying too hard, and I just don't. So they brought her back. But now she's just Tina because she's not a little kid anymore.
Ugh, God, really?
Yeah. But, of course, my favorite NPC is Moxie. And I've actually had a request recently to do a cosplay of Moxie, so we will probably see that from me in the summer. It's too cold to do any cosplays right now.
Yeah, stuff that.
Yeah. But so that was great. That's wonderful, but it didn't do it for me. It just didn't.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
so of my 4 games, it's actually the weakest one, and I hate saying that because I was such a Borderlands fan and still am.
So you wouldn't say it was the weakest, but it was one of your biggest disappointments, even though it made your list.
Yes, that's what I would say. Because I don't know, I feel like there's so much there. I mean, Claptrap is one of the best characters, and
yeah, he's awesome.
He's very awesome, and although that's interesting. I did not realize this, that
What's that?
they recast voice actors in
they
Borderlands 3. That's why. Okay, well that explains a lot. Yeah. So all I'm doing is supporting the fact that it was my biggest disappointment. Yeah.
Fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who's only played Tales from the Borderlands, I can't really go too much into about Borderlands. One of the things that I did pick up from Tales from the Borderlands is its obscure story, and its characters were probably the biggest highlights of that series. I mean, I can imagine the mechanics were always quite fun. You know, the shooting was probably quite solid. And that sort of...
Yeah.
And one of the best things about Borderlands 3, I think, was the fact that they didn't rely on microtransactions for loot. You know, it was a looter shooter where you got proper good loot from it without having to pay for it.
Absolutely. Now I have to say, yes, that's one of my favorite things that games can do, and I wish they'd do more of. Just the random, like purely random, weapons.
There are some very strange weapons in that game, from what I've seen about it. I had to, without actually playing the game, I have to go and look at these things. So I did watch a few videos, and it does look like the guns that you get are absurd.
Probably my favorite gun was actually in 2. And every time you'd shoot it, it would tell you something like very sarcastic.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And it was a strong shooter. So
yeah.
But I love is their weapon system, and this is true in 3 as well, is procedurally generated, I believe.
Okay.
And they said something like in their marketing they had 5 million variations of guns. Yeah. So you can do several runs and different, because you can play as different characters and not have the same, weapons base.
I think that's a
I
very
like that.
good point towards the game. Actually, I think it's a very interesting discussion point that you can have so many different ways that you can play for a game with only 3 or 4 different character classes.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is-
um, yeah. It is very strange that they've stuck to that that method, or mode, but it does seem to work. So
Yeah, of course. I mean, if it works for them, so be it. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
but
Oh
it
yeah,
just
interesting thing I did forget, but
yep.
Borderlands 3 was, or may still be, uh, slated to, come out on the Stadia.
I think it is out on Stadia.
Is it out? Okay, so
Yeah.
there you go. That probably tells you everything you need to know.
But they did actually annoy a lot of people with the fact that they went Epic Store
Yeah.
exclusive as well.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't help in its own right.
I remember when that was announced, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bad move. That's a bad."
Yeah, it's basically just putting your game on the chopping block
Move.
already. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of people just, especially if they've made a pre-order on Steam already,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to cancel their pre-order immediately and say it's going to come to Steam. I'll just go and buy it somewhere else,
Exactly.
or like they'll go and buy it on a console. They just won't support the game in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because it would be very similar to releasing an entire album on a Zune.
Yeah, exactly.
Which just they're don't that the Epic Store is not gonna last. You know it's not. Just like Tidal didn't last against Spotify, and Zune didn't last against the iPod.
Yeah,
It's, you can see the writing on the wall.
Tidal is still going, you know.
Is it really?
Yeah. I saw an advert for it the other day, and I went, it's still around?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
That's crazy.
But yeah, moving away from
Yes.
different or terrible streaming platforms,
Yes.
we have to pick a winner. And
Yeah.
this is going to be hard because I've played neither one of them.
Right. That's true. It's a good thing to take into account.
But I will go with my fandom here, and I'll go with Star Wars because from everything I've seen about the game, it does look very, very good for Star Wars fans. The story alone is enough to get people interested, and I've seen so many videos of lots of people force pushing, and it looks so much fun just force pushing someone down a cliff.
Ah, yes.
So my vote is for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, and mine, of course, is as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we've whittled that down. So we've now got to talk about the West bracket. The West side.
West side in the house.
I definitely annoyed a few East Siders there.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure. So we've got probably the biggest indie game of the year against the biggest seller of the year. This is a tough choice.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun watching you do.
Watching me squirm.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, this is not fun for me.
Yeah, it's not.
So I've got to talk about Untitled Goose Game first, because my god, this game absolutely put a dent into the internet, didn't it?
It did.
Like, I remember seeing this at EGX Res in April. I looked at this game that was just in the Nintendo booth and went, without obviously going too harsh about it, what the hell is this?
Yes.
I nearly went not safe for work there for a minute.
So I heard the hesitation.
Yeah, I had to remember where I was.
Yep.
I looked at it and went, what the heck is this? What is going on? Why are you playing as a goose? What? I'll give it points for its originality, at least for that part.
Well,
but
would you say it's original when we've got something like Goat Simulator?
We've got what, sorry?
Something like Goat Simulator already?
That's very true, but I think this is a little bit more unique than Goat Simulator, because Goat Simulator is all about the absolute absurdity and the craziness and chaos. this one actually has goals.
It does.
Which
It does.
a little bit more interesting. So, as the game was coming nearer and nearer to its eventual release, I still didn't think much of it. And then I just kept. There was a trailer that came out that just showed everything I needed to know about the. The whole premise of the game is just a strange one that you just play as a goose and you're literally going out of your way to annoy as many people as possible.
Yes.
It is such a weird concept that could only come from an Australian.
Yes. I have to agree.
Yeah, now, House done an absolutely astounding job on this game. It looks beautiful. It runs perfectly.
It does.
It's got so much character in it, and it is truly one of those indie games that are there to cherish because it blew up. It took over the eShop on both US, UK, and Far Eastern eShops. Went to #1 there and has sold a silly amount of digital copies. It is taken the gaming industry by storm to the point where a lot of people on Twitter were changing their display pictures to Goose.
Yes.
Myself included. It was great. And there hasn't been a single piece of negative feedback about this game at all.
Yeah.
And I think it is an utter joy to play. It is just so much fun. And to be honest with you, there were so many moments where I was absolutely just laughing at some of the absurd stuff that happened. It gives you the license to be able to play it in a way that you want to one set path. So, like in one of the earlier sort of parts of the game, is you have to try and get into the garden to try and annoy the farmer.
Yes.
So there are multiple ways you can actually get into open the fence, which is really fun. So you can take a radio and put it right next to the gate, or you can turn the hose on and stuff like that. It just gives you the license to be as creative as be as hideous as possible. It's so fun.
It is.
I think one of the more interesting aspects is chucking someone's sandwich into the water.
Yes. Yeah, I have to literally second everything you've said because it was a surprise hit.
Yep.
I am the world's biggest Goat Simulator fan. So
I've never heard anyone even say they're a Goat Simulator fan.
Yes, I will declare it. I know, it's crazy. I have all the DLC. I bought the DLC because I think they gave it away free not too long ago, but I bought it.
Yeah.
And so I love this chaos game and I love absurdity. And yes, what I would say is that different from Goat Simulator, it does have a little bit of cohesiveness. And yes, as you said, goals, which change it into more of a game. Not that Goat Simulator doesn't have goals. It does, but they're just there if you want them.
They're sort of in the background, aren't they? They give you like a guideline, but you can just go and play it however the heck you want.
Exactly.
I think what I did is I literally just threw myself across the plane and just went, I don't think this is for me.
Oh, you missed so much. Now I want to go play it again.
You go ahead. Is it on Game Pass?
I doubt it.
Okay, well, if it's on Game Pass, I'm going to play it again.
Okay, yeah, let's hope it is. But having said all of that, yes, Untitled Goose Game is, it's very, it meets all those absurdity goals and adds to it. So for me, it was a very fun game. Well, for everyone, like you said, I have not heard a negative person against it. In fact, single one. I'm pretty sure I'm quoting one of our own writers. I just don't remember who, but I think it was Jenny. I'm not sure, but they said, who knew that this would be the game to unite all gamers everywhere?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, but I can't remember who said it.
Yeah, and it's so true.
Yeah, who knew a goose would bring the whole entirety of the internet together as one?
Yep. And so yes, I very much enjoy that game. Also, it's funny because it originated from just a pic of a goose.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It's come from a very strange place, but Australians are strange people.
They are strange people. Lovely,
Yeah,
and I love them, but they are
yeah, me
strange.
too. Yeah,
But
look, they're like you guys. They're our offcuts. Us Brits. They have to be
actually,
weird in some way.
I'll say, for all the Australians that I've known, Australians and Texans are very similar. We both live in environments where everything wants to kill you. So
I'd say even more so for the Australians.
oh, definitely. They have more species of deadly animals. So
We won't go into that. It's exactly the reason why I won't go to Australia. I do not want a shoe spider.
or the Urukanji jellyfish, or however you say that, which is the tiny itty bitty jellyfish that one sting can,
Oh, they're the most dangerous in the world.
Yep.
Thanks, Australia. You want to kill me. I think that's enough about Untitled Goose Game. I nearly called it Goat Simulator there because of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Untitled Goose Game. What a joy! What an absolute joy! But
Absolutely.
now I have to talk about another absolute joy.
Yep, and I'm gonna let you just go on about this one.
Yeah. So Pokemon Sword specifically for me, but Pokemon Sword and Shield, they're basically the same game. Let's not sugarcoat it in any way, shape, or form. They have their differences, but for me as a once lapsed Pokemon fan, because Sun and Moon brought me back into the series, I felt over those years they hadn't done enough to make this stand out really or change the formula. Unfortunately, this is another game that I haven't done that much to change the formula. They've kept a lot of the stuff that made Sun and Moon good, but like the gym trials, gyms are quite a good blend of traditional, and also remix. So you've got a challenge to do, but you still have some battles in there.
Right.
I think as well, unfortunately, one of the things that let this down is its story. Pokemon usually does have a good story.
Yeah.
This one was middling, to say the least. It's like they gave up halfway through. They sort of forgot that there was a story.
Yeah.
And then came back to it much later on. So they had something that happened halfway through the game. A character goes missing and then literally comes back at the very last minute, and it was.
Oh dear.
You definitely forgot about that character, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's very weird, but taking the negatives away from it, I couldn't put this game down. I just couldn't stop playing it. A lot of the joy for Pokemon for me is the catching them all aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been very prevalent throughout the whole of the series when I have played them. Is I've always strived to go out for a full dex, and this was no different. I'm still playing it now to try and get that full Pokedex.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a grind. And it always has been.
Yes, exactly.
But I put 90 hours into Pokemon Sun and Moon just because of that aspect. The story didn't take me that long, but it was all the post-game stuff that kept me interested for a very long time. And whilst the post-game on this is a little bit light, it does introduce two of the funniest characters in the entire game. And they were a joy. I'm not going to lie. They were utterly crazy as hell. But a lot of what they've done here has been great. The addition of the Wildlands has been a really nice addition to the game where, yes, you've got Pokemon roaming throughout the world and down the roads and all that, but you have one centralized area running through the entire world where the whole game just changes.
Right.
You have the control of your camera, so you can move it around you in 360 degrees, so you can see what's ahead or behind you. The fact that the Pokemon roam the land and you see them, or the fact that you can just whistle out and they can come to you as well. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
you know, what they have done to this game is great. It is a mild improvement over Sun and Moon. I just think Sun and Moon had a better story going for it, and that was the only thing that's really a bit of a knock on it, unfortunately. But other than that, it's so nice having a jerk rival again, to be honest.
Yes, yeah.
I do love a jerk rival.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know a lot of people have given him a bit of stick, but I like Hop as a character. I think he's cool. And this is a little bit biased for me, unfortunately, as an English man. I think they absolutely nailed the English and Scottish dynamic in the world and the Pokemon designs as well.
I've heard the same.
They've absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, the fact that you can pick up a squirrel like Pokemon as one of the first is it's so very typical of England.
Yes.
and its electric type is a dog, which is a corgi, which makes sense. Of course.
Yes.
So they've absolutely nailed all that sort of aspects. So this is not an easy choice for me. I'm just going to say that.
I knew it wouldn't be.
Why did these games have to get drawn against each other in the first flipping round? I did the draw, and I did this as randomly as possible. Blimey.
Yep.
I'll let you go first.
All right. I'm going to be very honest and say that I have not played Pokemon this year.
Yep.
This new one. Just time's got away from me. I'm still in outer worlds.
Yep.
So, but having said that, there is a legacy, of course, with Pokemon, and to be fair, yes, there was a lot of detractors, but there always is every time a new Pokemon comes out.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Every game.
Yeah, like every game.
There were detractors to Sun and Moon as well, and the way they revealed everything a bit too early.
Yeah.
So even before the game came out, they were to it.
Exactly, and from what I've seen, the detractors don't make much sense to me, because it does still, it still seems like a solid game. It's a Pokemon game through and through. I do like the gym battles, and I like the trainers, the new ones.
The trainers are great, to be fair. Like, they've got a fair bit of personality to them.
They do, which I never really picked up in the older games. That could just be a limitation of the consoles, though, or the platforms, rather. So, and then, of course, the 3 new Pokemons.
Yep.
Whereas I would Sobble would be mine. And
now Sobble is great, but
I'm water type.
Yeah, the first evolution of it is not very good, I'm afraid.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, that's always disappointing. But overall, so compared to, Untitled Goose Game, which I have played, which is very enjoyable. For me, Untitled Goose Game is enjoyable in a short-term fashion.
Yeah, it's a very flash in the pan sort of game, isn't it?
Yes. I would probably not go back to it because there's just no reason to. Whereas with Pokemon, always you can go right straight back to any iteration. And play a fresh new game. Yeah,
I agree with that. You can very easily to it because you can choose a different starter. You can choose
exactly.
Yeah, the route that you take might be completely the same, but it's what you decide to do with it, whether or not you pick a completely different team or different makeup and stuff like that, or even choosing a completely different appearance can actually change the game up in its own respect. Yeah.
So for me, the logical choice is Pokemon. For that one.
For Pokemon.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think we're gonna have our first argument here then.
We really?
I think so.
I'm going to defend your game.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I as much as I loved Sword and Shield,
Mm-hmm.
I think as much as I enjoyed that game and spent an entire day off playing that game to completion,
Right.
I just think I got more joy out of Untitled Goose Game. It gave me more laughs. It put a smile on my face a lot more than Pokemon did. There were a couple of middling moments in the story with Pokemon that sort of was like, oh, okay, now all right, track off onto this part because you're being very vague about something. Or
Mm-hmm.
whereas you got everything from Untitled Goose Game, and there is one plus for Goose Game that is a big plus for me.
Okay.
My girlfriend, who doesn't play games, played that game because she loved it.
Oh, that
So we
is...
got to play it together, and that was an
That's a
for me.
winning blow right there. Oh.
So unfortunately for me, it's going to be Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, wow. That is a huge blow to my defense. Because
Now,
I believe in any game that gets non-gamers playing and interested is
agreed.
yeah, that's something to be that that's an achievement. That's the word I'm looking for.
I know.
That is quite an achievement.
It was so ridiculous that I just showed her the trailer and she was absolutely laughing, and I went, "Yeah, I'm buying this game. I'm using those gold points that I've been saving up for ages, and I'm buying this cheap." And it was
Oh,
absolutely worth it.
well,
Yeah, I would agree with you though that it is a flash in the pan experience. It's not many opportunities you can go back and play it again.
right.
It was just such a contained joy for a good 3 to 4 hours, and it was amazing.
And to be fair, we are talking about 2019 and was the game Untitled Goose Game, and it was, good in 2019.
Yeah,
That's all that matters. It doesn't really matter about replayability. Yes, it was a strong lead. But I
yeah,
have to say, the idea that it got a non-gamer playing,
yeah.
that's pretty strong. I may
Mm.
have to... I can't believe I am considering stepping away from the legacy that is Pokemon.
I That's what it is for me. Is that I think Pokemon played it too safe at times.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm picturing in my head right now, like, if I was to, I don't know, show a friend, oh, look at this Pokemon game, would they be interested? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Let me iterate a non-gamer.
yeah, a non-gamer.
If I was to show them Untitled Goose Game, yeah, their curiosity would be piqued.
Yeah, I also did the same with a couple of people at work who were non-game players.
Mm-hmm.
Just showed the trailer, and even they said, "Oh, I could probably play this because this looks fun."
Yeah, and that's a pretty good feat in 2019. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to throw my support behind Untitled Goose Game as well. I will change my
Okay.
vote. Yeah.
No, that means that Untitled Goose Game has made it through. So sorry, Pokemon, you were a joy.
Yeah. You just didn't have mass appeal.
No, the goose has honked his way through.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right, so we're now into the semi-final here.
Yeah.
This has been a long discussion, but to be fair, this next part is going to probably be quicker because we've already spoken about the games.
Right, exactly.
So this is just basically just deciding where we go from here.
Yeah.
So in the first semi-finals, we've got the Outer Worlds against Untitled Goose Game, and the other is Tetris 99 against Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. Either way, I think we're going to be pretty happy with the choices, I think.
I think
They've
so.
got 4 solid games.
Yep.
We'll take the left-hand side of the bracket. So, Outer Worlds against Untitled Goose Game.
Well, I mean, come on. My stance is very clear. What can I say that hasn't been
Outer
said?
Worlds. You've mentioned it on every single podcast
Yeah.
we've done so far. There's not going to change.
And I still have a fairly sizable review coming out.
Yeah.
So, of course, no surprises here. My vote is 100% behind the Outer Worlds.
Okay. Sorry, Goose. It's probably going to have to go with Outer Worlds. For the exact same reason that we said in the previous round.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, although it was the reason why I put Pokemon out. This is Outer Worlds looks like a more substantial package. It's got more to do, more to offer. The dialogue itself is, the dialogue options are one of the strongest suits that I've seen in a game in a long time. It does definitely give back a lot of the feels for very old Fallout, or even to a certain degree Knights of the Old Republic, like we discussed earlier. And I just think there's probably more to this game than I haven't seen so far from what I've looked at with the gameplay stuff. And if I'm honest with you, this is the game that made me Xbox Game Pass. So
yeah, I would say that that's true for most.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it was a £40 game, but if you could pick Game Pass for very cheap and play this, then you weren't going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
it's just annoying that obviously my PC absolutely sucks, that I can't play games on it. But it is also the reason why I discussed with you earlier on in the week why I'm very much considering Xbox All Access, so that I can do the Xbox One X and then do the refresh 12 months later onto the Scarlet, because you get 24 months of Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live with that package. And just to be able to play the Outer Worlds is enough of it up. So I'm going to have to go with Outer Worlds.
Excellent. Yeah. I had actually forgotten that aspect, but you're right. It has been a catalyst, I think, for a lot of people choosing to jump onto the Xbox All Access. Which is really great to see happen. So yes.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely helped Microsoft get a bit more of a foothold into the market.
Absolutely.
And so it does help them going into Project Scarlet and the PS5 generation that's due to come up, because they're gonna push that big time, even with backwards compatibility.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see how that game looks on Scarlet. I bet it will be. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm just shaking thinking about it.
Oh, I cannot wait. Oh.
Yeah. So that's put that one through. I'm sorry, Goose. You did
fought hard. Yes.
You fought hard, but
he beat Pokemon.
All that sandwich stealing just couldn't go too far. Unfortunately, you got caught as the criminal that you are.
Yeah.
So we've got up to the next semi-final, and once again, this is also going to be Tetris 99 against Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I'm laying my hat in the ring right here. There's nothing excited me more than Tetris 99 this year.
Well, I believe it or not, there is an actual hesitation on my part to just say Jedi Order of the Dawn. Because yes, Tetris 99 is a very strong game. It's a puzzler, so you're always going to go back to it. It's a great I don't want to say time waster, maybe time passer.
Oh, it's a time sink game for sure.
Yeah. And I'm always hesitant to say that any game is a time waster, just because of the connotation, like from our childhood and stuff. Like, all you do is spend your time playing games. Well, yeah. But so it is. You can sink a lot of time into it. The graphics are strong. The marketing was strong. It was a free game. It has a lot of positive points.
Yeah.
But, and I cannot believe I'm going to say this about an EA game.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well.
I really am. But yeah, for me, of course, Jedi would be the stronger of the two. Because there's a continuation of story that, is in the Star Wars universe, that's already much loved. The characterization is strong. The graphics are strong and smooth. And the gameplay is exceptionally smooth.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, we're at an impasse here, obviously, because I don't think either one is probably going to back down from this one. But something has to give, of course, because we can't leave it here and say, no, we're not going to play a game of 2019.
Right.
I think you have the high ground.
That was freaking brilliant.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Absolutely.
I think although I think you got the stronger footing here. I think because of the impetus of the previous two Star Wars games that have come out whilst they're under the EA banner, this has just completely come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
As being a very strong candidate for probably one of the single player experiences of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that lets Tetris down, I think, is that it's a time and a place game.
Yeah.
You have to be really in the mood to play it.
Yes, I would agree with that.
There have been a couple of times where I've put it on, played a game of it, and I've gone, I'm not in the mood for this. I'm going to pop this off. I'm not just going to put it down. So as much as I love the game, and as much as I have spent 45 hours on it, or 40 to 45 hours on it this year alone,
oh wow,
I'm gonna have to concede, because you don't produce a game like Respawn have done and don't get plaudits from it, because they've done an incredible job. The world looks very rich, very vibrant, and they've definitely taken the Star Wars lore into account whilst creating a unique and singular story that fits perfectly into that universe itself. And considering that Star Wars has been waning for a lot of people, this is a very bright spark in an otherwise dwindling property. So
absolutely,
I have to give it credit for that. So I'm gonna concede, and I'm gonna let Star Wars go through on this one.
The Force is strong within you.
Not anymore, it's not. So we're coming up to the very last match, the final, as we say.
The final countdown.
That's all I'm doing on that.
Yeah, too much more, we'll have to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm not paying royalties for that. I'm pretty sure everyone else already has.
Yes.
So, the final we have for you is a doozy.
Yes.
Which happens to be The Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
This is Jedi Fallen Order, or Fallen of the Order.
Yes. Jedi of the Fallen Order of the...
Of the Wars of Star.
Yes. Of the Phoenix Order Fallen.
I still can't believe that. What a silly thing you did.
It was silly. It was. I was so tired. I think it's hilarious that I still didn't even notice until you called my attention to it.
I know. Oh, I can't believe it. So,
yes.
How are we going on this one? I think I know how you're going.
Right.
So, do you want to put that down?
Well, what I'll say first is that, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is, it's a very strong game. It is graphically smooth. It's scripturally strong. The writing is strong. The characterization is great. The guy that I've just blanked out that's playing Cal, who is the Joker on Gotham, is...
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't...
Yeah, I just blanked out.
Yeah.
Listeners, you can fill us in. But, he's a fabulous actor. It really comes through. So it's a strong game. But, of course, my vote is going to go with Outer Worlds. Because...
To the surprise of nobody here.
Yes. For the reasons I've stated millions of times before, which is, the strong characters, strong writing, such a natural bed of lore that can be built up from it, and hopefully an enduring, saga and series to come from it. So it has my heart and my vote. So for me, it is Fallout.
Jeez.
Wow.
It is not Fallout.
Wow. Now that was a Freudian slip to end all Freudian slips.
It's not the worst one you've done.
It's not. So I guess we can call it Fallout Outer Worlds. But no, Outer Worlds for me.
Okay. So, as I haven't played either of these games, this is going to be based solely on excitement levels alone.
Mm-hmm.
As I will plan on playing both of these games.
Yes, I would say that both are worth it. Yes.
I think both look great. Both sound like they're very good experiences. They both sound like they're very interesting, very character-driven experiences.
Absolutely.
And I think it's only going to go one way for me, I'm afraid. As much as I love Star Wars, barring Episode 8, I'm not saying anything more than that. Sucks, but I think it's going to have to go for the Outer Worlds for one of the reasons that I stated earlier. This is the only reason that made me want to get Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game itself looks like an absolute masterpiece to a certain degree. Like, the world itself looks incredibly vivid, vibrant, filled with lots of interesting different quests and all that sort of thing. And as someone who's only just got into Fallout, it definitely sounds like something that would be right up my alley.
It's well,
so I think I'm gonna have to go with Outer Worlds as my choice. I think it's unanimous.
Yes, I can't say that I'm not pleased.
Of course.
I think you've made a worthy decision.
I think you made some worthy decisions, but you put out Tetris too early.
I know. We've had the everything we've all our candidates, as it were actually very good for this year. So I do encourage anyone out there to play any of the games we've mentioned. They're all good. Yeah, but there can be only one.
Of course, yeah, but there were some other games that were on other people's lists that, in terms of our writers as well, some of them might make it on. So we'll give some honourable mentions. One of my honourable mentions was my friend Pedro from
Absolutely.
Evolve, which is a very interesting and creative game.
Very.
One of the writers we wanted to come and join us today wasn't able to make it, but TJ did put up I think Control.
Yes, another strong one.
Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to play Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I know I love it.
No, it is actually good. It's a very good game.
Yeah. One of the games that I wanted to put on but couldn't because the remastered stuff was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, but yeah.
And then for me, of course, would be Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PC, but it's a remake. I mean, not a remake, port.
Re-release.
Yeah, re-release on a different port. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
So there were some very good games this year. I mean, it's not the strongest of years. It's no 2017 or 2018 because they were bumper years.
Those are. I don't know if we'll see another fabulous set of years like that. Maybe after the new consoles come out. But
Give it a couple of years, I reckon, and this is going to be a stretch, but 2022 will probably be a very, very good year for either console.
Yeah, I've recently heard a rumor. This is just a rumor. Maybe it'll make the news in our next episode. But there's a new BioShock game on the horizon. So
Yeah, I did actually hear that.
Yeah.
As well. So that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But
for
as a footnote to that, our two games that made it into the final, so Jedi Fallen Order and The Outer Worlds, the eventual winner, will go into next week's Game of the Decade discussion.
Woo! That's gonna be so fun.
And do you know what the best thing about it is?
What's that?
Episode 10 for the Game of the Decade discussion.
Oh yes! All the numbers align. It is meant to be.
They have.
Our episode X.
Annoyingly, Mike mentioned it on the Discord earlier, Mr. Overlord Mike himself, and I was like, damn it, you've ruined my bit. You ruined my bit.
Gosh. Yeah. It'll be a good one. Yeah. But yes, next week will be another good one. It'll be our Game of the Year discussion. Game of the Decade. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're well in the Game of the Year at the moment, but Game of the Decade. Ugh.
Game of the Decade.
This one was even harder to choose, I can tell you that.
Yes, it really was. We've had some amazing games in the last 10 years, which is just mind-blowing.
So as a result of that, I just wanted to put down that because of the utter ridiculous selections, there are going to be 16 games up for Game of the Decade.
Oh my goodness. That's going to be a fun one.
I can't wait.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing your list, and I actually think we should keep it secret until the day.
I kind of think so too. It'll be kind of fun to spring it on each other and defend our positions.
Yeah, that would be very fun.
Yep.
So we've got a little bit of housekeeping to do at the end of the show. So the competition was actually due to close today for the Anker Powerbank SD 10000.
Yes.
Decided to extend it by another week.
Yep. And it's just in time for a last-minute Christmas gift if you win it.
Yes, it will. So remember, get your gaming dad jokes into us.
Yeah.
The real groaners, the real moaners, and all those sort of ones, and not in that way.
Yes.
But we did have a couple of really good entries that unfortunately don't count because one of them they've come from our writers.
Yes, I'm dying to hear them though.
I'm trying to find them at the moment. So.
I'll provide the music. Do 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 do.
Oh my goodness! Here we go. Yeah, I've got them.
Excellent.
So these ones are the real examples we're looking at, and my gosh, they're real groaners. So these both come courtesy from Alex on Twitter, which is at GamerDadJournal.
Woohoo!
So the first one is, did you hear about the new Minecraft movie?
I sure didn't.
It's a real blockbuster.
Oh!
And the next one is, one more for fun. How does Mario talk to the booze?
I don't know. How?
Through a Luigi board. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I actually like that one quite a bit.
I did as well. That one did actually give me a genuine chuckle.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
so,
that's a good one.
Thanks, Alex. Unfortunately, we cannot accept your ones because we can't give away this to one of our writers. It doesn't feel fair.
But it's a good example for you listeners to jump on board.
Perfect.
And get your chance to win. And, you know, we even have some more giveaways coming up, so always stay tuned for that. We've got some great prizes in the new year. So
so keep yourself locked to at Rapid Reviews UK on Twitter or www.rapidreviewsuk.com for those. Where else can they see it?
They can see it on Rapid Reviews UK Facebook. Ha!
Oh, whoa! You finally and you actually don't have a document in front of you this time.
Yep, I've been saving that one up.
Hey,
but
can you remember the rest?
Well, let's see how this goes. You can join us on Twitter at our new address at RRRadioPod.
Yep.
And then where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at PeteBeckett1.
Excellent.
I am the number one.
You are the number one Pete Beckett. And then if you wish for whatever reason to follow me for your free DLC in the Kiley universe, it is at Kiley T Great, which is KILEYTEHGREET. And we've said it before, but we'll say it again. We're always there if you need someone to talk to.
Of course, that, you know, emphasizing the you've got this section earlier on.
Exactly.
DMs are open both on our personal ones and the Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast Twitter.
Absolutely.
Which I do, man. So
yes.
I'm
And sometimes I pop in.
very occasionally.
Very occasionally. So why don't you hit us with our game fact?
I've got to find the game fact now.
do.
Thank you. Right. Okay, so our interesting fact has to do with two games.
Woohoo.
Which is very interesting. So one of them is a game that you're particularly fond of.
Yes, I'm excited.
Fallout.
Ooh, yes.
Did you know that Fallout lost an outstanding achievement in sound and music to Parappa the Rapper?
What? That's insane!
Parappa the Rapper's overrated. Bye!
Bye! We'll see you next week.